What's the price difference that's added by incorporating a battery?
So price is a LED light bulb plus a rechargeable battery.
And so is that like a 10-20%?
It's about so $15 is a traditional LED light bulb. This is positioned at $24.95 for a consumer.
And what's your margin if you produce them like on your 100,000 units?
On the wholesale, about 40% gross margin.
I'd like to understand a little bit about low-hanging fruit, the early adoption market, because you got an order of 5,000 units, and then you said another 100,000 is forthcoming. What is causing this early adoption, so that people are is it a broad group or is it very narrowly focused group?
No, it's actually every household who come to know about the product. They have been in a power outage situation, and they're buying for different reasons. People have elderly people living alone. They say, oh, I want to buy a few for my dad. Or for their own home, they have experienced power outage. If power goes out, still 3 or 4 light bulbs in the house will work. So they don't have to run for the battery or candle. Overseas, a completely different market. They want light from 6 to 10. So it's 32 countries. They want this primary light.
So can you talk about your kind of competitive landscape there with LED and the low cost and also low cost sensor? There's a lot of innovation in this sector, right? And a lot of very big companies. So how confident are you about your IP and your patent protection?
Yeah, that's a good question, because our product is a LED product which is energy efficient, but there's a lot of players in the market, and that market has completely fragmented. It's not owned by any big brand name. It's anybody can produce an LED light bulb. What makes us unique is patented technology which knows the switch position even there is no power, and that makes us different. And it solves a problem. It works every day like a light bulb, but it's there when you need it for 4 hours continuous. So that's what makes it unique and creates the demand.
What I was going to ask is, how do you contemplate matching the life of the LED bulb with the life of the battery? I mean, a lithium-ion might be a good calendar for 7 years, something like that, but your LED bulb probably wants to last 20. How do you make that all?
Yep. So thank you, because that's a very important thing. There are 3 light factors in this light bulb. It's like a normal light bulb. So suppose if you don't have a battery in it, it will work for 20 years. So battery works like light bulb works like a normal light bulb. Battery is 300 cycles. So about every 3 years, 3.5 years, you can replace it. It's a replaceable battery. You can open the compartment and replace the battery. And the third is the battery backup time. That's 4 hours continuous use. But sandy kind of situation, if you know power is out for 7 days, in a bathroom, use only for 20 minutes, turn it off, and next day you can turn it on.
So now we'd like to start with the advice portion of this segment here. Maybe we could start on the other end. John, maybe you could, when Suman wakes up tomorrow morning, what advice do you give him about looking forward to this business?
I would echo David's question. Frankly, I've personally seen another company in the venture space that had a similar concept. So I would just wake up in the morning and do nothing but just work on the IP to make sure that you have this completely locked up. So if it works, there's a lot of value.
It's interesting because there's a bit of a contrast in our first 2 companies, because the first one was fundamental technology but needed some focus. And this one has incredible focus, but one of the things I wonder about is, what's the platform? Is it just one product? Is there more you can do? You can't answer this now, but I'm sure you have ideas, but it does cause me to wonder about broader applications. But congratulations on the progress so far. It's interesting, early adoption. I'm also curious about the roots of the technology, but more later.
It speaks very well that you obviously have the sales. I mean, the problem is a lot of early companies have a great idea, but they don't have sales. So you obviously have a thesis that's being supported. I will say, though, because lighting is so competitive and it's such a dog-eat-dog business, notwithstanding obviously companies like GE, very dominant, that I think the IP protection was a very good but in addition to that, but I do think that you need to think about the kind of SG&A that you would ramp up to try and compete with the GE, and you mentioned online retailers, but I think it's because it is so competitive and difficult. My suggestion is that you figure out other distribution channels that might provide even more acceleration than just going through the internet. I just don't think in this business you'll be able to scale as fast as you'd like to, given the level of competition. But I congratulate you on this early sale. It's very awesome.
So if I look at a light bulb like that, I always think of myself, next time if I'm at Home Depot shopping for lights and I see a light that's sort of 100% more expensive or 50% more expensive than the other one, do I recognize at that point what my last power outage was that I'm willing to pay the premium? So I think on the marketing side, where do you put it in Home Depot? Do you put it by the other lights or more by, say, the smoke sensors and say this is sort of an emergency backup thing? So I think there's potentially something there on how you position it and the consumers recognize it and say, because I think Houston has a pretty crappy power grid, to be honest, at least in my neighborhood. But then if I have a power outage, it's like, well, it's during the day or, when I'm asleep the next morning I wake up, oh, apparently we had a power outage. So I think the problem might not be as big as you think. I think developing world, if you get a great channel there, I think it's definitely there to go and you can make a lot of volume. So the other thing I was thinking about maybe in sort of peak shaving or energy efficiency, if you make your bulb even smarter, say, can I do a little bit of peak shaving? So if you go over certain thresholds, you run 20 minutes on battery and you save yourself money that way. So if you can figure that out, I think that's another valuable application where you get more in efficiency space, and then all the people that have that as an offering can use your product to actually do that. And I think that's another big market with a lot of little batteries in this case.
Well, that's some great advice. So,